What if I told you that the Quran described the female honeybees' two stomachs, their chromosome count, and their unique role in honey production 1,400 years before modern science confirmed these facts? You might be skeptical, even dismissive, but for McKay Jo, a professional beekeeper with a background in entomology, this wasn't some wild theory. It was a discovery that shattered everything she believed about ancient texts and their scientific accuracy. The revelation struck her like lightning. How could a 7th century text contain precise biological details about honeybees that scientists only discovered in the 19th century? It forced her to confront the very possibility that this ancient religious book contained knowledge that defied natural explanation. McKay Jo was not just any beekeeper. She was a seasoned entomologist with over a decade of hands-on experience in the complex world of apiculture. Currently pursuing her master beekeeper certification at Cornell University, Jo had devoted her life to understanding these remarkable creatures. Her expertise in bee biology, behavior, and colony management had earned her respect in scientific circles. She prided herself on her meticulous approach to beekeeping, always relying on empirical evidence and the latest research in her field. But then something happened that defied everything she knew. It wasn't a groundbreaking discovery in her laboratory or a revelation from a fellow researcher. No, this challenge to her scientific understanding came from an ancient religious text, the Quran, a book written nearly 1,445 years ago. She had always considered religious texts as historical documents, important culturally, but rarely sources of scientific insight. Yet when she opened the Quran out of curiosity, one chapter stopped her cold. A chapter that struck her with the force of revelation, one she couldn't explain away with her scientific knowledge. It was Surah an-Nahl, the bee.
I heard there was a chapter in the Quran about honeybees, so I had to check it out, and this is what I found.
Jo explained in a video shared on her Instagram account, where followers had grown accustomed to her scientific approach to beekeeping. The camera captured her holding a translated version of the Quran, her expression a mixture of wonder and professional curiosity. What she discovered next left her speechless. The chapter about bees consisted of precisely 16 words and used 16 different Arabic letters. For most, this might seem like a trivial coincidence, but for an entomologist specializing in honeybees, this resonated on a profound level. Female bees have 16 pairs of chromosomes, whereas males have 16 chromosomes. Could this be mere coincidence? The statistical probability seemed vanishingly small. The fact that Islam respects bees so deeply that it considers killing bees a sin.
And Islam highly respects the bee to the point where it's a sin to kill one.
She noted with evident admiration. As an expert dedicated to bee conservation in our modern era of declining pollinator populations, this ancient reverence for bees struck a powerful chord. As Jo continued to explore the Quranic verses about bees, her scientific mind raced with questions. How could a text from the 7th century contain such specific knowledge about bee biology? The gender-specific language in particular caught her professional attention. The last thing I thought was really cool is that the Quran was originally written in Arabic, and Arabic has female and male verbs, she explained. The verbs they used to describe the honeybee building, eating, foraging, working were all female verbs. The implications were staggering. Throughout history, humans had kept bees primarily for honey production, with little understanding of their complex social structure. But it wasn't until the beginning of the 19th century, thanks to pioneering scientists like Edward Bevan, that modern science confirmed what the Quran had stated centuries earlier: honey is produced exclusively by female worker bees, not males. This scientific fact, considered a relatively recent discovery in entomology, had apparently been clearly articulated in the Quran since the 7th century. Jo couldn't dismiss this as coincidence. Her training as a scientist demanded she investigate further. She pored over the specific verses, and your Lord inspired the bees, make your homes in the mountains, the trees, and in what people construct, and feed from the flower of any fruit you please, and follow the ways your Lord has made easy for you. From their bellies comes forth liquid of varying colors in which there is healing for people. Surely in this is a sign for those who reflect. The Arabic linguistics confirmed what left her astounded. The verse used the feminine form koli for eat rather than the masculine kol. It continued using fasluki, female rather than fasluk, male, for follow the ways. Then came the revelation about bee anatomy. The Quran referred to but uniha, their bellies, using the plural form, with a feminine pronoun. Modern scientific research had confirmed that female worker bees indeed possess two stomachs, one for digestion and one specifically for storing collected nectar that would become honey. This anatomical fact, only scientifically documented in recent centuries, was apparently referenced in this ancient text. For Jo, these weren't vague poetic metaphors, but precise biological descriptions that aligned perfectly with contemporary scientific understanding. The Quran even mentioned the varying colors of honey, another scientifically accurate detail that depends on the specific floral sources visited by the bees. Even more remarkably, the Quran mentioned something that had only recently been confirmed by entomologists, that some rare bee species build hives in solid rock. This obscure fact, documented only in specialized research, somehow appeared in this ancient text. As the days passed, McKay Jo found herself increasingly drawn to these Quranic revelations. Her professional life had been built on scientific rigor and empirical evidence. She had spent years studying bee behavior, their complex social structures, and their remarkable biological adaptations. Yet here was a text, written centuries before modern scientific methods existed, containing information that perfectly aligned with contemporary research. How could someone in the 7th century have known these things, she wondered. How could an illiterate man, Prophet Muhammad peace be upon him, have discovered these scientific facts which can only be known after very in-depth research carried out by highly trained specialists? The internal conflict intensified. As a scientist, she had always followed evidence where it led. But this evidence was pointing towards something that transcended purely naturalistic explanations. The scientific accuracy of these verses seemed to suggest something more profound than lucky guesses or general observations. The scientific accuracy of these verses seemed to suggest something more profound than lucky guesses or general observations, a bridge between science and faith that she had never anticipated discovering. These weren't just poetic metaphors, but precise biological details that matched contemporary scientific knowledge. These verses constitute a testimony to the wisdom and timeless greatness of the Holy Quran, she reflected. The precise biological descriptions, the gender-specific language, the anatomical details about bee stomachs, and even reference to rare rock-dwelling species, all aligned perfectly with modern science. As a professional entomologist, Jo had always sought evidence and facts. Now she had found them in the most unexpected place, an ancient religious text that seemed to contain scientific knowledge far ahead of its time. The Quran itself seemed to address her wonder directly. We will show them our signs in the universe and within themselves, until it becomes clear to them that this Quran is the truth. For McKay Jo, beekeeper and scientist, those signs had manifested through the creatures she had devoted her life to studying. In the remarkable lives of honeybees, she had found an unexpected connection between her scientific understanding and a text that had preceded modern entomology by more than a millennium. Her journey of discovery reminds us that sometimes, the most profound revelations come from the most unexpected sources, and that the pursuit of knowledge can lead us down paths we never anticipated walking.